it down, speak louder. That was my name. Yeah. Eagerly leaving the scene to go and chase his dream. On a mission wishing ever since he was only 15. With sincerity, I'll never give in to the popularity. The clarity's a rarity when you're compared to me. Now where were we? And I don't mean to be cocky, but I'm never doing this sloppy. And all that hating, it's not me. So I'm original, no copy. Can't copy my swag. I'm spitting liquid, twisting like my name was Mickey Fast. And I'm the 11th freshman on the cover, double XL. Didn't get any recognition cause I forgot how to spell. Fixed it with the quick systems, I got spit quick as hell. Now I'm doing it well. Train hard, but I bet you can tell. And I'm locking my method, I said.
Just when you thought I was done for the night, as did I got an announcement that the Major League of Football has hired their fourth head coach currently. Earnest Wilson will join Jerry Glanville, Terry Shea, and Bill Conley as the four head coaches for the Major League Football in Season 1. This completes their head coaching hires, given the fact that they have said they will be running with just 4 teams in Season 1 and be basically running a very abbreviated season in Season 1. Earnest Wilson is a guy who spent a lot of time at the Division III and Arena League level. He was a head coach at Defiance up until a couple months ago when he stepped down. He was just the interim head coach after a couple different situations led to them not having a head coach prior to the 2021 season. Earnest Wilson had been the associate head coach prior to that in 2020, and he had actually been elevated to the full-time head coach in January. Just 5 months later, May 6th, he announced he was stepping down. So about a week ago, he announced he was stepping down in a little bit of foreshadowing that he had accepted a position with the Major League of Football, despite the fact that he had not announced it. A lot of different people had speculated that it was another position within the college ranks. However, they were incorrect. He will be leaving the college ranks to join the Major League of Football. This is the first time he will coach the outdoor game at a professional level, but he has, as I mentioned before, playoff level experience in the Arena League, which is about the level of player he should expect to see in the Major League of Football. It's interesting to see him move on from Defiance. He had been there for quite a while. He joined them back in 2018 as the associate head coach after a stint at Elizabeth City State and Savannah State from 2013 to 2017. He's got a bunch of different stints as an offensive coordinator throughout his career. Spent the 2012 season with Hampton, 2010 to 2012 with Jackson State, 2003 to 2004 he was with Benedict. In 1998 and 99 he was with Oberlin, and then he started coaching way back in 1990, the year after I was born. This guy's been coaching for over 32 years at this point. He's coached primarily wide receivers, tight ends, and ran offensive sides of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the Major League of Football. So far, as I mentioned, they have hired all their coaches. They are still plugging away towards launching their first ever season in 2022, and this is the closest they've ever come in their 6-year existence. The Major League of Football is something that's been trying to launch for a while, that has continuously stepped into setbacks over and over and over again, and it seems like they never seem to ultimately get to a position where they can find consistent success and consistent momentum towards a season. Ultimately, they were founded back in 2014, and it's taken them 8 years to ultimately come up with a strict $30 million budget and pay players basically between $2,500 and $3,500 per game with a $1,000 bonus for wins. That's probably a big part of the reason why they're trying to keep their league small with 4 teams in season 1. That number for pay is pretty close to the USFL and XFL level, despite the fact that Major League of Football determines that they are going to be a developmental league similar to like an NBA G League or AAA baseball. This league is completely comprised of players looking to make the leap to other leagues. It's basically going to fill the void left by the spring league, where players were actually paying to play rather than getting paid to play. Major League Football's taking over that spot, but at the same time, they're going to pay players, which is a huge boon for the players that were trying to make it. Major League of Football, like I said, was founded way back in 2014 with the intention of being a spring football league. However, as I mentioned before, multiple setbacks have left them not launching for 8 years ultimately. And now in 2022, they're going to launch, but it's going to be in the summer season because they still couldn't get it off the ground quick enough. They were bringing this league about way back in 2014 to kind of fill a void that was there. I mean, the World Football League, the United States Football League, USFL that came back, the XFL, the UFL, FXFL, all the different arena leagues that had shut down over the years. I mean, no matter how you look at it, there was multiple spring leagues that just couldn't last. Major League Football was another league that thought they could come in and ultimately fill that void and thought they had the model to succeed and last. They were apparently not exactly as correct as they thought. Either that or they refused to launch and fail. And that's an okay thing as well. I mean, at the end of the day, who wants to start something only to watch it explode in less than a season like most of these other leagues did? The United Football League being the last one that lasted more than a season. They lasted 2.5 seasons before they folded in 2012, ultimately opening that void that MLFB was trying to fill. Now MLFB returns, but they launch, and they're launching just prior to a season in 2023 in which we will see year-round football for the first time ever in outdoor game. We're going to watch the XFL launch in February, assuming everything stays on course with their previous schedules. Then you'll watch USFL launch in April, carry out till June, which is when CFL starts, and then CFL carries us over into the NFL season. So somewhere in there, the MLFB will competing for its little slice of the pie. There will be 5 outdoor leagues, assuming this actually makes it into 2023. And it's going to be interesting to watch next season for sure. This league was not necessarily affiliated with the NFL, but its direct intentions were to develop players for other leagues, whether that be the Arena Football League, the Indoor Football League, the NFL, the CFL, the USFL, the XFL. It's very interesting, and it's going to be one of these things that I want to see because I want to see how players approach it. Are they going to look at it as a serious thing given the amount of pay that they're looking to earn in this, or how that's going to all shake out is something that I want to watch. The funny part is that this is not the first time that they have hired multiple coaches and actually had the basis of a season getting going. In fact, back in 2016, they hired some familiar names in Dave Campo, Charlie Collins, Ted Cottrell, Robert Ford, Wayne Geis, Galen Hall, Larry Kirksey, and Chris Miller. A few of those guys find themselves in the USFL at this particular moment. But back in February 16, they were a part of the MLFB, and they were hoping that a season would be able to launch until in February of 2016, a major financial backer ultimately backed out of a $20 million commitment, putting the league's first season completely in jeopardy. We saw this exact same situation happen with the AF on a much bigger scale. We were talking about $200 million, not $20 million. So the fact that they were able to even have a budget of less than $100 million and try and form a league was pretty impressive in the first place. Back in the day when they started this, the trademark names were the Alabama Airborne, the Arkansas Attack, the Florida Fusion, Northwest Empire, Ohio Union, Oklahoma Nation, Oregon Crash, Texas Independence, Utah Stand, and Virginia Armada. However, at this point, we are not entirely sure exactly which teams will return, um, although there have been proposed teams of Virginia Armada, Arkansas Attack, Ohio Force, and Texas Independence. So it'll be interesting to see exactly where these players, or not players, these coaches ultimately land. At one point, this league boasted guys like Mark Bulger and Herm Edwards, so it's kind of surprising to see that they have taken this long to get off the ground, and yet they still have very little basis for this league to be successful in year one. It's one of the things that I am incredibly interested to see because they've been rolling information out so freaking slowly. It's not even funny. It's literally been 8 years since they tried to launch originally, and now here we are finally getting a season, hopefully. But it'll be interesting to see exactly how it works. One of the things the MLFB offers to fans that other leagues don't is the ability to buy into an ownership position, no matter how small it may be. With that being said, there are a lot of fans that are more concerned with the money aspect of the Major League of Football than they might be if it were the NFL or stuff like that, because they can't buy into that league. But with that being said, I think if you're a fan of the Major League of Football and you are buying into this league, you're making a risky investment. There's a potential you could see your money back someday, but right now it seems like it's a lot closer to you potentially just throwing money at a league and hoping that it lasts. And that's okay. I get it. I want to support football too. But at the end of the day, I question if the MLFB will actually ever get off the ground. There's things to love about them. There's things to hate about them. I, for one, hate their social media presence. I hate how hard it is to get information out of anybody involved with the league. And they all just kind of point fingers to another person. But that's neither here nor there. I don't think that's a fan concern. That's more of a concern if you're intending to try and cover the league. But you would think leagues like these would be welcoming people like me, promoting and talking about them more often. However, when you have guys like the End Zone talking about you fairly regularly, there's a reason why you don't need a guy like me with only 150 subscribers talking about you. But that's all I've got for you guys today. It's very interesting to see that we finally have the fourth coach for the MLFB. I definitely think this is going to start a hopefully quicker rolling of news out. Now that we have teams, cities, and coaches announced, it's only a matter of time before we get their player selection process announced and we find out exactly how they're going to look at all this. Because you have to keep in mind, coming up here in June and July, we got the XFL showcases coming around as well. So are these players going to risk their ability to enter the XFL draft coming up fairly quickly for a fledgling league that nobody's heard of, including most of the players that they're targeting? It remains to be seen. I mean, the money's there, assuming they pay what they say they're going to pay. Like I said, it's competitive with the USFL and the XFL, or at least somewhere in the range of it, somewhere clearly below the level of player the XFL and the USFL is going to have. But that's still a fair amount. I mean, we're talking to almost $4,500 a game, assuming you win every game. That's nothing to sneeze at if you're a player out there trying to make your way in this world. I'm looking at a lot of different guys that I interact with on a daily basis that could potentially look to this league as a potential to continue their playing career, and in a way that's a lot more legit than some of the semi-pro leagues they find themselves in now that may or may not actually give you a paycheck next week. So if you're a guy that finds yourself in that position, check out the XFL showcases. Let me know you're going, because I am compiling a list to put into an article on xflnewshub.com. But also, if you're going or you're considering leagues like this, like the Rivals Professional League, like we just talked about, or the ADPFL, or whatever it may be, you should definitely be looking at the MLFB as well. I know they are not promoting it as well as they should, but it's a viable option, assuming they actually get this league off the ground. They have great coaching and they have solid basis for this league, albeit it's starting off extremely small with just 4 teams. Again, I appreciate all your guys' support. If you liked this very short video, definitely hit the like button. I'll bring you some more short content in the future if this is something you guys want to see. I know a lot of the stuff that I put out is an hour plus long, and it's hard to digest for people who have short attention spans like myself. Sometimes I'm not even sure how I make it through. So if you're one of those people, click like on this video so I know to start pushing out a little bit shorter stuff for you guys, and maybe I can keep you a little bit more occupied in the future going forward. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you in the next video.